Hello, I'm Jacqueline Chaucer, and I'm here with my colleague Daniel Jason. We are going to explain how we tried to solve for the impossible. We were tasked by California State University Dominguez Hills with mitigating the impact of COVID-19 on higher education. Before we begin, allow us to introduce ourselves. We are the instructional design team for the academic technology team. Just us two. I have over 20 years of experience in education and instructional design. My specialties are performance improvement, distance education, and change management. Over to you, Daniel.
And hey, this is Daniel, and I have been formally working in instructional design and education for the past 5 years. My specialties include curriculum design, educational technology, and content development.
But don't let those titles fool you. Daniel and I have worked hand in hand to analyze, discover, and develop a solution to the problems we found as a result of this forced transition to a distance education environment.
So what was the problem? Well, Jacqueline and I were brought onto the team to address the forced transition due to the COVID pandemic. The campus was shut down, and regardless of the subject faculty were teaching, everything had to be delivered online. It is and continues to be a true crisis for the academic community.
Now, how did we get started on this project? Well, basically, we rolled up our sleeves. We started having individual consultations with the faculty and talking to them. And what did we find? Frustration. The students were frustrated, the faculty were frustrated. We saw a vast disparity in their attitudes towards the transition, in their technological skills, in their experience even teaching in an online environment, and even in the suitability of the subject that they were supposed to be teaching in an online environment. It was kind of a hot mess.
So what did our analysis boil down to? Well, considering the world was flipped upside down for the academic community, we identified three main issues. The first one is what I like to call the paradigm shift. It's basically that online teaching is very different than teaching in person, and that people were having trouble with the transition due to lack of appropriate resources and skill sets. The second major issue we had to tackle was the attitude towards the transition. While some faculty embraced the change, others assumed it was just a temporary problem that would eventually go away, that there was no point to learn something new. We identified that this was a change management issue that had to be addressed. And our final issue was that nothing could be mandated. With the public sector, we couldn't dictate a solution. We could only suggest and recommend. Nothing could be standardized. To put it simply, we could put out the water, but we couldn't make the horse drink.
So, how did we end up addressing this problem? Well, we continued to conduct these individualized faculty consultations so that we could educate them and train them in distance education best practices, as well as analyze what was unique to their subject so that we could help them really come up with a customized solution for how they were going to approach teaching their class online. We didn't want them drinking from the fire hose. Concurrently, we developed workshops on select deep topics that were focused on instructional design and distance ed best practice. Things that involve building a community for the students in the online world, how to encourage them in discussion and debate so they could learn from each other, and usability. We didn't want technology to be a barrier between their relationship with their faculty and the content that the faculty were there to teach them. And then also we wanted to help them improve their relationships with their students through fair and transparent assessment. Finally, we developed a special template for rapid course development with best practice theory baked right in for them to use so that they could stand up their courses quickly. So why don't we take a quick look at that so you can see what we built.
So welcome to our course template resource. As an example of the previous point, for best practices, we included a fully built out left-hand navigation bar that supports three possible teaching modalities: synchronous, asynchronous, and blended. We also made sure to construct this tool as a fully formatted template to fill out with faculty's content, curated resources, and assignments for rapid course development. Now we had one more trick up our sleeve. So Jacqueline, tell them about the mini course.
Okay, So we tried to anticipate the type of questions that faculty would have when they were trying to use the template. So we wanted to make this a very meta experience where not only did they get to create quickly a fully built out course for their students that they populated with their own content and resources, but we wanted to try to reduce the amount of tickets that would end up coming to our academic technology team with questions about, well, how do I do this? Or how do I embed a link? Or how do I set up a quiz? So we built a little mini course inside the template to demonstrate what good usability looks like. So we have a link for them on how do I use the course that will directly take them to the workshop that we presented on how to use the course. We also have a course development support center, which is going to really address more of those, click here, click there type of support questions, like to address their technological skills. And then we have course exemplars. So in case a faculty member says, well, what should a course landing page look like once I built it out? So that they can go in and click and see an example of what it should look like when they're done. And then finally, we wanted to make sure that they had easy access to all of those deep topic workshops that we discussed right here at their fingertips so that they could watch them at their leisure. And that is the little mini course that we embedded inside for them.